Talk about what the book is.
In each chapter, there's one of my stories at the beginning and the end to demonstrate how patterns show up in ways that you wouldn't even recognize it was a pattern, because it just looks in the moment like a circumstance. But patterns repeat, and patterns are how we're experiencing life. And if we're in a pattern of experiencing life in a way that is dehumanizing, disempowering, defeating, that will continue regardless of circumstances on the outside.
Mix 102.5, the best mix from the 90s to now. Big Poppa in the afternoon. It is a Mental Wellness Wednesday. Life coach Rebeccah Silence. And today is the day. It is publishing day. New book coming back to life with author Rebeccah Silence. Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. I am honored to give the gift of this book to all of you and to the world. I truly feel more vulnerable than I've ever felt in my entire life. My heart is in my hands. It took 4 years to birth this book, and a lot of the length of time was because of how vulnerable it was to risk putting myself out there so vulnerably. But I'm so glad I did. And I didn't even know it was possible to come to life even more than I already was alive and well, post abuse, domestic violence, marriage, cancer, and so many other things. But this book brought my life to a whole next level of living. And I'm so proud of it. And I'm so grateful that you will all have the opportunity to order it. And yes, it's actually published. It's no longer on pre-sale. So order this book wherever you order books, Barnes & Noble, Target, Amazon, whatever your preferred book, vendor is. Order it right away and read it and enjoy it, and let this book guide you back to you and back to the most beautiful possibilities that are ready and waiting for you as soon as you are ready for them.
I'm just waiting for the Amazon person to drop it off. I've already paid for it. I already pre-ordered it. I'm just waiting to show up on my doorstep.
I bet it's there today when you get home.
I hope so.
Take a picture. Take a picture and send it to me.
I will. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I got you, girl.
I'm not worried.
Talk about what the book is. Because we've talked about, okay, you've written a book. Okay, what is it?
Okay, so what it is a book that is me sharing my stories of crisis and trauma and my healing messages about the lessons I learned and how I overcame and persevered and got beyond survival in the face of so many crises and traumas. For the longest time, I was the poster child damsel in distress. For, so many years, I don't think there was a better damsel in distress out there next to me. It was so a part of my identity. It was so much of my truth that I just expected. When's the next crisis? When's the next trauma? When's the next assault? And this book is me helping you see how patterns repeat. So if I had a victim consciousness pattern, for example, in each chapter, there's one of my stories at the beginning and the end to demonstrate how patterns show up in ways that you wouldn't even recognize it was a pattern, because it just looks in the moment like a circumstance. But patterns repeat, and patterns are how we're experiencing life. And if we're in a pattern of experiencing life in a way that is dehumanizing, disempowering, defeating, that will continue regardless of circumstances on the outside. So each chapter is hugged by my personal story. And then in between the stories is my roadmap to allow you to heal your way. And then at the end of each chapter, I offer integration exercises. And all that means is there's journal questions, there's processes, and there's exercises for you to take everything I've written in that chapter on your way. And the point is to get to the place where the pain, the past, the trauma, it no longer hurts. And healing means it doesn't hurt anymore. The scar healed over, and now that is absolutely the past. And for so many people, they don't even realize how the past continues to bleed into right here, right now, and continues to shape the future unnecessarily. So this book, it's 11 chapters. It's deep, it's intense, and it's light and it's fun and it's digestible to help you connect dots and to help you plot, plan, and scheme what you want for your life beyond pain and trauma, suffering, stress, patterns that no longer need to be a part of your everyday life.
One of we've been doing this radio thing for a long time, and I just realized that.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, one of the reasons our segments have been so successful over the years is number one, we don't prep. We
right,
literally just, hey, how are you? How's the family? Okay, let's go.
right.
And that's literally how it is. But also too, no matter what the topic is, people can take a little nugget from what you say about could have nothing to do with what this one person is going through, but just one phrase or just one little example people can take and relate it to what they are going through and what their life is happening right now. And the fact that you have all these different stories in your book, you may not necessarily connect with chapter 3 because you don't have any experience doing that. But read chapter 3, and I guarantee you're going to get something out of it. And I wanted to make sure I made that point because that's the one thing I've heard more than anything. I love when you and Rebecca are on, and it's amazing. I'm not going through what that person went through, but I definitely got something I could take.
Right, right. Well, because we're all in this together, as cliche as that sounds, and there's no person out there that hasn't been through some sort of trauma. And this, I think, is really important. It's so damaging to compare our traumas. Like what happened to me isn't as bad as what happened to them, so it's not that significant. Each of us, no one, I don't care, no one is immune to trauma. And when we are willing to look at it is something that we can use to our advantage, we're free. And my book will teach you how to use trauma to your advantage and life to your advantage. And that's what I've done. And I was just so determined that everything I've been through be useful. Otherwise, the past wins and the predators and the abusers win. And what I also want to say is that any predator, any abuser, any perpetrator, they have trauma too. But we don't need to let the traumas keep us powerless or give us permission to, perpetrate other people, perpetrate against other people. And that's a big word. And it happens so subtle. We can be perpetrating just by the way we're looking at someone or thinking about someone. It doesn't actually have to be, clear as day that, abuse is happening, and we abuse ourselves. And, one of the biggest points of this book, Gary, is that how we feel is 100% based on how healed our past is. And we never have to feel powerless again. And we can heal our past to the point where there is no shame and there is no more disempowerment. And it just happened, and we got shaped and launched into more life and more living because it happened. And that is possible. And that is what I wrote, every single word from the deepest parts of me for all of you.
The book is called Coming Back to Life. It drops today. Wherever you get your books, go grab it. There's an audio version, right?
There is. And, I was so resistant to the idea of a narrator reading my book. I really wanted to do it, but my agent and I didn't think of that in the initial contract. So I have the ability to pick the voice, but for this book, it wasn't allowed to be me. And it was a very tough decision. I went with my gut, chose this woman, and I actually got a personal email from her thanking me for writing the book. And she said just narrating it changed her life and the sound engineer's life. And I was so glad that someone read the book for the audio version that actually resonated with it. I'm so, so grateful. And yes, you can get the audiobook right here, right now, if that is your preferred way to digest the material.
And yes, Rebeccah Silence has an agent.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Lisa. She's wonderful.
If you want more details on Rebeccah, you can go to RebeccahSilence.com. Again, the book Coming Back to Life, it drops today. Get it wherever you get your books. Rebeccah, congratulations. Today's a huge day for you. Time to celebrate, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, everyone. You deserve to get the most out of your life, and I love you all.